I think every action is coerced by physics, and nobody should be responsible for anything. And that position is called hard determinism. And you might be thinking, that sounds insane. That sounds crazy. Like, what are you gonna do with violent criminals? And other hard determinists have thought about that. And first of all, like, not making people responsible is not the same as doing something that would kill you. There is a difference. And people have uh, i think I think there's like a 2021 paper that talks about this specifically. You should just look up the quarantine model of criminal justice, or the public health model of criminal justice, where you just basically treat people like quarantine patients, you know. So we don't punish them, we don't put them in abusive environments. We just, like Norway, we just put them in better situations. And if we just put in better situations, and we don't necessarily do corporal punishment of any form. I mean, it doesn't work. If you see, like, if you look at retributive systems, um, and, like, rehabilitation focus, if you compare them, focus systems of prison reforms, you compare some countries like Norway, that the recidivism rates is like 20, and America's and Japan's recidivism rates are like 50%. And the main difference is like the treatment of people. And so this is because, like, the philosophical difference in philosophical positions, or the metaphysical position of, like, how people are, right? This comes from a misunderstanding that, like, people are free and could have done otherwise, so therefore we kind of punish them to rectify that, right? And more rehabilitative uh, perspectives think about how actions are determined, and there's nothing you can really do about that if that happens. Like, you can't go back in time. um so that's kind of the perspectives there. And you might not, like, buy the perspective that you know like, every action is physically coerced. And I would like to talk about a paper called, if I can remember it right, what's it called? Movement Intention After Parietal Cortex Stimulation by Michel Desmarget. I think it's a French name. And that paper basically talks about how like, they basically just stimulated, as the title suggests, they stimulated someone's brain, parietal cortex, parietal lobe, and basically gave them movement volition or intention. So they make them, I think in that paper want them to like raise their hand or move their hand a little bit. And I think philosophically, like why that's important is because like intention obviously matters, legally in general. And it's interesting because like it kind of blurs the line of inside and like coercion, outside, and internal and the external, right? The It blurs the line between the two because normally you get electrical stimulation from other parts of the brain that give you kind of movement intention. So by like stimulating from outside the brain, and kind of blurs the line of these two things. And it kind of makes me think that you know even like that, I think that pretty much signifies why the modern conception of like even though you're kind of an automatic physical being, that you are you. This is called compatibilism, but basically you're responsible because you committed the action, you thought of it. You're it's like the computer's responsible because like the computer executed that program, basically, or something like that. If you want to like analogy, but like because of the fact that it blurs the line and you can kind of divide kind of the intention formation, right? The intention, initiator, and the you know the thing that forms your intention. I think you can infinitely, until like you know it's the bare circuitry or the atom that you could divide things. And I think that when that happens, it's kind of hard to group things as yourself, because it's that is Desmarget's like physical stimulation your brain at that point. Like the grouping is not really physically determined, right? There's no like set thing that you can say objectively is the line of yourself and others. That might be like an unpopular view, but I think that is like that might not be the most persuasive way. Like there's other ways, like the most persuasive way of like dismantling compatibilist idea, compatible between determinism and free will. The others, like like what's I'm sorry, I'm like devolving into verbal diarrhea. But what's the other thing? Like, I think a famous one is like in the case of brainwashing. You know, you could say that's internal, external coercion. But like normal people are kind of brainwashed, like kind of not naturally. So you can't say that person is responsible, right? Like you're kind of naturally in by just existing brainwashed into like certain views. So certain ideas. So you can't really differentiate like a cult person or like a normal person in terms of responsibility, because both are, you know, coerced externally from their environment. It's something like that. There's a bunch of anti-compatibilist arguments. You can look them up. You can ask ChatGPT. You can look them up, etc. But I just wanted to talk about that. Sorry, it dragged on so much. But it's good to get things off my chest. So that's that. I'll probably be posting more videos. But yeah, this is my passion. I think this is deeply important to every aspect. I mean, like you can talk about you can you can say the same with capitalism, for example. Like, if we're doing this to, like, lower like lower the recidivism rate, or like the errors people make, punishing them with financial hardship, or like economically punishing them, doesn't make a lot of sense. So you can kind of extend that and plug that into other kinds of treatment issues. So I think it's much more, if you're having a hard time conceptualizing why that's important, like maybe think about your personal experience, or think about things that you care about. And if it's a treatment issue, I think determinism is helpful in that situation. So that's that. And most importantly, regret, and like these types of like personal issues you can overcome by kind of thinking and thinking about determinism. So that's that.